Adopting a shelter animal can be an incredibly rewarding experience. The opportunity to give a surrendered pet a second chance is exciting, yet at the same time intimidating. After all, how does a family decide which pet is a good fit for their lifestyle? While some shelters do extensive behavior evaluation on the incoming animals, others do almost nothing. However, by giving a potential new pet owner the tools to perform a basic behavioral evaluation, a happy and healthy pet may find a new home. The following program should be used to provide basic assessment tools to assist potential pet owners in making good adoption decisions. This program will not only educate your staff on distinguishing the behaviors of a healthy animal, but will give each staff member the tools to educate clients on adopting a behaviorally healthy pet. What does a behaviorally healthy dog look like? How does he behave? Consider the following characteristics. A behaviorally healthy dog will be friendly towards or at least tolerant of both people and dogs, both family and non-family members. Relaxed during normal, everyday handling and interactions, such as having feet wiped, being petted, or being looked at. Calms down quickly after being startled or excited, and is not overly fearful of normal, everyday events. It isn't always possible or easy to distinguish between behaviorally healthy dogs, dogs whose behavior can be improved, and behaviorally unhealthy dogs. However, assessment procedures should work toward this goal. Assessing an animal doesn't begin with a formal evaluation or test. It starts during initial contact with the dog. While not all aspects of behavioral health can be assessed in the shelter, it's possible to assess portions of a dog's social and reactivity behaviors. One complicating factor may be that the stressors in the shelter are different from those in a home environment. However, knowing how a dog reacts under stress will provide valuable information. Keep in mind that a dog's behavior can change over time, for better or worse. The first portion of the assessment involves observing the dog's responses to a variety of situations. Step 1. Watch the dog in his run. The first stage of this assessment should begin by walking down a row of runs or cages and observing how the potential adoptee reacts to someone standing outside his run. It is vital that during this step a neutral, non-threatening posture is maintained. Be sure to stand or walk down the row so only a side body profile faces toward the run or cage. Do not face the dog. Look straight ahead or at the floor, but watch the dog out of the corner of the eye. Don't stare or look directly at the dog. Stand quietly for a minute or so. Note where the dog positions himself in the run. Did he walk to the back of the run or move away from you? Charge or come toward the front of the run in a threatening manner, barked, growled, or stared? Approached immediately, coming to the front of the run with a friendly greeting behavior. A favorable or desirable response to this situation would be a dog that moved toward the front of the run or cage and displayed a relaxed body posture and acted as though he wanted to be approached. Of concern would be a dog that acted fearful and moved to the back of the run, cowered, shook, and possibly growled. The second technique, while the dog is still in the run, is to act very friendly, non-threatening, and almost submissive to the dog. Face down the aisle again and present a side profile toward the dog. Bend at the knees, look at the floor, yet watch the dog out of the corner of your eye. Talk to the dog in a friendly tone of voice. Watch and see how the dog reacts to these overtures before reaching toward the dog or putting a hand on the cage for him to sniff. How does the dog respond? If he has been friendly, he should become even more so. If he has been threatening or defensive, does he remain that way or calm down and begin to approach you? The adopter's behavior in this situation should be extremely inviting and friendly. The dog should respond in kind. A friendly, behaviorally healthy dog will become more interested and friendly. One that is fearful, timid, and shy will hopefully make at least some effort and show some interest in approaching you. One who won't approach at all is worrisome. One who continues to threaten is of great concern. If the dog has remained threatening through any or both of these approaches, a decision needs to be made regarding whether or not to continue the evaluation. Step 2. Take the dog out of the run. The next step is to put a slip leash over the dog's neck and take him out of the run. Getting the dog out of the run should be done in a neutral manner, neither threatening nor friendly. Many dogs will pull and walk ahead because they are so excited to be getting out of the run. This in itself is not a concern. A few may be so fearful they hang behind and are reluctant to move. Make note of the reaction. Take the dog to a neutral area in the shelter, away from other dogs, relatively free from interruptions, and large enough so the dog has room to move around. Step 3. Stand and watch. Stand in the middle of this area with the dog still on the leash and allow the dog to do what he wants. Ignore him for several minutes, but watch closely to see where his attention is focused and what he does. Is he more interested in the environment than in any interaction? Does he sniff or pull to investigate something? Is he relatively oblivious to the person? Does he exert an all-out effort to get that person to pay attention to him? A dog that jumps up, paws, or barks would be viewed as very excitable or active. A dog that stands quietly would be considered calm, at least in this situation. A behaviorally healthy dog should make some sort of connection with the potential adopter, at least part of the time. Although most dogs will be interested in investigating the unfamiliar environment, they should also show interest in getting to know the person. When the dog pays attention to the person, a desirable response would be one of contained excitement. Some dogs may be more rambunctious, perhaps jumped up, pawed, or barked. These are not necessarily bad behaviors, but indicate the dog has a lot of energy, at least at that moment. If he's been confined and ignored for a period of time, this behavior may be due to having more freedom. It is helpful to have more than one opportunity to observe his behavior in this context. Step 4. Pet and handle the dog. This next activity is done assuming the dog's behavior has not indicated any aggression, making this unsafe. While assuming a seated position, give the dog long, firm strokes from the top of his head to the base of his tail. This type of petting provides information about how he reacts to having more than just his head touched. Some dogs are very sensitive about movement around their heads. When initiating the petting, reach toward his head from the side or from behind. Many dogs will assume a defensive posture if approached directly from the front. While petting the dog, does he move into the touching, almost arching, or moving his body into it? Does he move away and try to avoid the touch? Stop petting the dog for 30 seconds or so and note his reaction. Gently lift up or touch the dog's ear. Massage it, then gently squeeze it. Run a hand down the dog's back leg and touch his feet. Watch his head and body posture while doing so. Many dogs dislike having their feet touched, so be prepared to react quickly. Put a hand on the dog's head and slide it down over his eyes. Hold the hand over the dog's muzzle for a few seconds. Ideally, the dog indicated that he really enjoyed being petted. His body posture was relaxed and friendly. He didn't try to avoid the touch and didn't ignore it. If this type of petting elicited any fearful, threatening, or aggressive behavior, this should be a red flag. The rest of the evaluation must be performed with extreme caution or ended at this point. Step 5. Startle the dog. While still in the empty room and while the dog is distracted, drop a metal food dish on the cement floor. How does the dog react? Is he fearful out of all proportion to the stimulus and remain as such for several minutes? Does he stop what he's doing momentarily and then resume? Does he seem oblivious to the noise and continue with what he's doing? When he is spoken to, does he resume his activity or some other behavior quickly? Ideally, the dog should be able to recover within several seconds and either approach you or resume whatever activity he was engaged in. A dog that continued to shake, look around fearfully, cower, or attempt to escape and hide for several minutes would be worrisome. Every day, hundreds of pets are brought to animal shelters for many different reasons, and unfortunately, the surrendering owners aren't always honest about those reasons. In light of this, just how does a potential pet adopter recognize their next best friend? By using a basic behavioral evaluation, the interested party can gain some insight into the dog's personality. They may be able to recognize a dog that is friendly and curious, or one that is fearful and weary. Perhaps most importantly, the temporary bond that forms between them will become a permanent friendship.